be calling on the phone any moment. And we want you to be ready. Here we go. What did I say? Joining us right now from somewhere around the world, Mike from around the world.
Pastor Paul Bagley, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. I'm on fire. There seems like there's so much going on that I don't even know where to start. So I'll just start with you. How are you doing?
Yeah, start somewhere. I'm doing okay. Doing good. Better today than yesterday. Finally, the government's reopened.
Thank you. I was wondering, how difficult was that for you while the government was closed?
Yeah. Well, it's not that it was difficult. It was just putting up with the nonsense. That was the hard part.
Yeah. I mean, you're able to work around stuff. It's just putting up with all the foolishness and the nonsense that gets in your way. Yeah, I understand. Mike, there's a lot of things that's been going on. I don't know where to start. I mean, I could start with Syria. I could start with Atlas. Where do you want to start?
Ooh. Well, Syria is a good place.
All right, let's start with it.
And that the guy that was here?
Yeah, he was here.
Right, had a free pass, huh?
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy. Didn't we fight against him once in Iraq?
Yeah, that guy was an architect of quite a few things. And I just, a person who designs genocide, murder, and it's really in his heart. It's one thing to carry out the orders of somebody else. It's another to be an architect. When you're an architect, you're the one that all of it came through. And this guy, he still has that look in his face. You can look at his face and tell this guy has something up his sleeve.
Mike, they brought him into the back. The information I got from one of the government insiders, they brought him into the back tunnel.
They snuck him in.
Yeah,
they snuck him in.
That's not good. That's just not good.
He just popped up and appeared. What's so sad, though, is some of the people in Washington, it's almost like they're not there. They're there, right? But something else has got a hold on them.
Yeah.
Something else has certainly got a hold on them. And I challenge people to see that. Something has got a hold on them. In fact, I've been seeing something lately behind that, and it's very unsettling.
Okay.
A lot of people, they talk about the ancients coming back.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If people look closely, they'll see them everywhere. The big ones. Yeah. Everywhere.
Wait, are you saying they'll actually physically see them or in the spirit?
And you'll see them. You can sometimes, when you engage a person, people only have so much knowledge. People only have so much coldness. They only have so much.
Yeah.
Some of these people are, Pastor, they are different, cold, and indeed their family history supports, something odd happening. These people look like the Walking Dead, in the eyes. And their conversation is, you see them one way on television.
Yeah.
They're not that way in person.
No.
They're not that way in person. They're cold, empty, just empty.
Soulless, like they don't have a soul.
Something else is in there, and they carry has anybody ever been around, been in a place, and everything in your spirit scream, get away, get out?
Oh,
Something's here that shouldn't be here, right?
Right.
That type of feeling. And on occasion, you will hear them call each other names, and they're not their names, right?
Right.
On occasion. And the one thing I've learned over time is this: these ancient ones have the same language. They say the same things over and over again. They do the same things over and over again. They never change. Never.
This is huge because, in the days of Noah, we had the Nephilim. But we know that that's just 200. There's only 200 that Enoch said actually we talk about. But there has to be thousands. There has to be millions of these demons that are everywhere, trying to possess people or at least oppress people or bring infestation, to bring fear, to control the minds of the human beings. That they're very powerful. They do have power. We got more
They
power
sit
through
in, yeah.
Christ. I mean, is this happening in a bigger? I wrote the book,
Yep.
Revelation 9:11, that Apollyon has come out of the pit. I believe he's out. What do you think?
Pastor Paul, I'll tell you what, these people, they've been around for some time. The problem is, right, we're often blindsided by entertainment. We can't see them through what they present to us. If you take away the music, if you take away the acting, if you take all that away, you have an empty husk with something inside.
Really?
The fruit that they leave behind them is nothing but tragedy. The Lord said, you'll know a tree by its fruit, right?
Right.
All the fruit that they have left behind is carnage. All of it. And then when you dig into their lives, they were prepared. So you're looking at families that first had a lot of incest, right?
Yep.
They keep their bloodlines clean of everybody else. So they only marry specific people, and which is why they switch partners from time to time. But when they do that, they prepare their children, right, for spirits. A baby. Can you imagine a 1-year-old running around, not crawling, running, or an 8-month-old baby running around?
No, I don't. I just can't. I mean,
or a 1-year-old with supernatural knowledge, engaging in saying things they shouldn't say, and it's by no means holy, very unholy.
So, are you saying that these are demonic consummation taking place here? Is it maybe even in a ritual event to try to create some type of occult being?
Well, the rituals happened a long time ago, right?
Yeah,
To clear their bloodlines in the family, and but they've been doing it ever since. That's where all the stories of vampires and werewolves come about. Somebody changing, physical formation of a person changing or adjusting, not to a wolf, but to think of a person whose bone structure becomes sharp. Right? Cheekbones are pronounced. Backbone is pronounced. Just all at one time.
Is this the shape shifting? Is that going on? I mean, or is that just already a part of what they are?
Well, if it's part of what they are, and they take pride in what they do, right? They learn differently. On occasion, you'll find people who have they're very reluctant, but they've been exposed to it, right? And these people are anybody who's been exposed to that, really exposed to it. You'll notice they have a duality. There'll be one way, one moment, trying to escape. The next moment, they're totally complicit. Back and forth. Yeah.
Mike, also, we've got some major signs in the heavens. This Atlas 3I just won't go away. I mean, there's all kinds of. I mean, it's got a little tail. I think it kind of grew, but BP Earthwatch actually zeroed in with some information he got, and it looked like a cluster of rocks. Now, I don't know if it is or if it's just one big rock, and you said it has companions with it, and maybe that's what he saw. Can you explain some more on that?
Yeah, it has companions, water, lots of water around it, and so he likely saw that. And some of those, you're looking at an object or rock from somewhere else. It's not like most models of asteroids and comets and meteorites. So it's very different in its nature. But it's not going to be the only one. And I will say the timing is odd. It's very strange. It did come around at solar maximum. It did come around when the magnetic shielding was at its weakest point.
Wow.
I know that a lot of people had lots of speculation, but you have to keep in mind, what in the world are people seeing in the skies, right? What hit one of our aircraft a couple of days ago?
Huh?
So I doubt if we'd hit our own aircraft with our own technology, right? What were they tracking in the Gulf of America?
What?
By the way, that's going to become a hot topic. The Gulf of America, period, is going to become a hot topic.
What are they tracking? Are you saying, okay, now we've talked about USOs, unidentified subterranean objects or sea objects or whatever it is. Are you saying they're or are we talking about submarines or different technology?
No,
Are we talking about Russia?
Not submarines.
Russia?
No, not Russia.
Okay.
No, nobody has anything that can travel that fast underwater, right? Nor can they illuminate for that long, right? So no, it's not us. We're going to face a realization one day that there's a breakaway civilization on this earth.
What? I mean, I know you've said this before, in some of the webinars we've had, you've talked about this, that there's breakaway civilizations, and like the ant people, or maybe people that are civilizations that broke away and stayed underground because of what happened, maybe
underwater.
Because of what happened on the earth. Underwater people do they swim, or what do you mean by underwater? Are they just in a cavern?
That's where they live. That's where they live. It's where they live. Now we're talking about human beings, just like you and I, right?
Okay.
That are a bit more, maybe their bone density is different, small differences, but nevertheless, a breakaway civilization that runs off a different set of standards. So they, it's only a matter of time before, both worlds, right, start to mesh. And somebody already knows about it. Somebody knows about it. Why in the world? I'm going to ask you a question. Every time they have these UAP sightings, right? There's no air traffic. Every time have you noticed that, right? Shouldn't we have air collisions or something like that? And there are different types of these UAPs or UFOs that people see, right? They've been documented all the way back to the 1200s. There are things in our atmosphere that have been cataloged in our atmosphere, brightly lit, before Sputnik was in space, right? So things like that have been happening for some time. They just give it a lot of mystique in the world.
Now,
but there's no mystery to it.
Now,
it's old stuff, is what it is.
Are you making reference to the lost city of Atlantis?
No, not to be mistaken with that. Of course, now that could be tied into it. I do not. I just simply can't subscribe to the dates. A lot of people are used to, and some of the sensationalism around those things, right? Because there are certain things I found out in my career they just they don't match with what you hear on the internet. So certain things I cannot subscribe to. The one thing I will subscribe to is that the story, one of the biggest assets that man has spiritually is the story of the fallen angels.
Yes.
And what they actually did.
Can you talk? I mean, I know what it says in Genesis chapter 6 about the fallen angels and what happened during that time. I also know what it says in the book of Enoch. But maybe there's people here, and folks, in the book of Enoch is not in our canon. Maybe should be, but it wasn't found till later. But can you elaborate on this, Mike?
So essentially, in Genesis, because it outlines that in Genesis, the Elohims, or sons of God, saw that the daughters of women were beautiful, and they came down to mate with them. And they took unto themselves wives, and they bare children who became men of renown. Some were great men of renown, some were giants, some were abominations. And they began to multiply on the earth. They built civilizations, all sorts of things happened. And they began to consume the acquisitions of the earth. Then they consumed man himself, right? Man's acquisitions. They consumed everything. They distorted morality. They caused murder. They changed the spirit of mankind. So the righteous were basically, plucked off one by one. back then, or by demoralization and corruption. They corrupted animals as well. There was a time that animals did not eat meat.
Okay. Well,
They didn't eat meat. Animals didn't go around eating each other, right?
Right.
But after they corrupted the earth, well, that happened. And of course, Enoch goes into depth, right? Enoch goes into depth about Azazel and the four angels that bound them up. And Azazel, of which all sin was ascribed, was bound hand and foot. And they're preserved in the everlasting chains in the book of Jude.
Yes.
Talks about the children, but here's some details from Enoch. In the book of Enoch, it states, the Nephilim, the children, from the union of the fallen angels and mankind, the children, when they died, they would not ascend to heaven. They would not go anywhere else, but they would remain on the earth, and they would be known as evil spirits. And they would do war, right? They would just have confusion. They would be the murderers and all this, that, and the other in the earth, spirits. And they would desire to have flesh again. And they would burn with lusts, which I believe we later call demons.
Yes.
But they remain on the earth. And how do we know that? Because Christ said when a demon is kicked out of a person, it's going to go out and find nothing but dry places.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same demon is going to come back, and if the house is swept clean, which means the person is empty, not receiving Christ or anything else, it's going to go out and find 7 worse than it is. So the demon's not going to hell. They're roaming the earth, these evil spirits, and they look for vessels to inhabit. Well, when that happened, they corrupted animals and everything else. A declaration came from the Most High after the intervention of the fallen angels, and he was going to destroy the earth, of which he said Noah was found perfect in his generation, which means he wasn't perfect as far as his actions, but he was as God intended him to be. He wasn't corrupted genetically or anything else. So he was saved in his family, and God gave him very specific things to follow following that flood.
It seems go ahead.
That began a brand new era for mankind. And of course, Noah and one of his sons sinned the day after right after they got off the boat. Noah was drunk, and his son saw him in a way he shouldn't have.
Yes.
But God sent the rainbow to signify he wouldn't destroy the earth and all life by a flood again. But I have to make a note, he didn't say we wouldn't have floods. He said he would not destroy all life on this earth by a flood again. So now we're dealing with the residue of the fallen angels, of that union, right? But in the book of Daniel, it raises the same thing. And that's I know a lot of people, they attribute that to the sons of Seth. I don't, because I'm the guy from the bushes, but it says in the feet of the statue, which was shown to King Nebuchadnezzar, the feet of the statue, by the way, is a kingdom before the everlasting kingdom.
Yes.
And it was a kingdom in the line of Babylon, which God gave rule over all the earth. So Babylon has the highest standard of all kingdoms in the earth. God said that. And the feet of that statue is partly strong, partly weak, so it's divided. And part clay, part potter's clay, part iron. But he said that in that part of that statue describes the way of this world, which is they would mingle their seed with the seed of men, but would not cleave one to another. Now, why that's so significant to me is that in Genesis, it says they took unto themselves wives. That is to cleave to a woman.
Right, that is true.
In Daniel, it says they did not cleave one to another, but they would mingle their seed with the seed of men.
Yes.
And as far back as the year 500, this theme has been happening, that some sort of entity is coming down taking genetic material from both men and women.
Okay, not and people call that UFOs or
Yeah,
aliens.
that's
Okay,
what we call them today. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And they also, back in the year, I believe it was 910 to 1,000, and a lot of records were lost back then too, but they still have some, that these people said they would have these experiences where they know that some of these weird looking kids were their children.
So, in other words, I mean, a lot of people have never heard about Genesis chapter 6, and the absolute fact that the fallen angels looked upon the daughters of men, saw they were fair, and they took them wives as they chose. Whether that was done forcibly or not, they did it. And let me just read that so that some of you can understand. It's in Genesis chapter 6. You can read it. It says, "It came to pass that when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So now we're starting to see a life expectancy or cap on us. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown, giants, okay? And and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts, of his heart, was only evil continually. So it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart." So, Mike, when we talk about these breakaway civilizations, these would be the remnant. Would you say these are the remnant of the Gen 6 era, and that's why they're still here? Look, these were demonic forces, but they've multiplied. Have they multiplied on the earth, the demons?
Well, when Enoch gives us account, and he says that 200 fell on Mount Hermon, made a pact, right? And those were the chiefs of 10. So what that means is that 200 fell on Mount Hermon, but there were a lot more in other places.
Yes.
So I believe there have always been quite a few here on this earth and around the earth, right? In this existence, which is, our realm, this physical realm. So it's been a lot of them around this entire time.
Yeah.
But I have a question.
Okay.
Why would they rebel against the living God and mate with women? See, that was one of my questions. What mindset is that? Why would a person rebel? And they were made eternal. So they knew God. They knew the throne. They knew his glory, his majesty. What would make a person? And I say a person because of Genesis, when the Lord said, man has become like one of us, knowing good from evil, unless he put forth his hand to the tree of life, he'll live forever.
Right.
So the only difference between us and those who dwell in the heavens is mortality and our choices. Yep. So we're just making bad choices. But what would make a being fall like that? Fall like Lucifer, fall like them? Could you really?
No.
What is going on with you, right? And then they would see the daughters of men, that they were beautiful. Now, immediately, Pastor Paul saw that as a tool.
Okay.
A tool. So which means they had rebellion in them already.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what were they trying to do?
Destroy.
Well, Satan fell. Satan fell because he thought his throne should be ascended, equal to or above God's.
That's right. It's what he says in Isaiah 14.
When a person has a mindset like that, right? When they think that they can do a good or better job than you, what they end up doing is trying to sabotage your future. That's exactly what they do. And so that's exactly what Satan did. And so even in Enoch, it says, Semyaza, he was the one that had deceived the fallen angels into making that pact in the first place, which was the same entity in the garden.
Yep.
Lucifer, right?
Lucifer did it.
So he tried to sabotage what God had planned on this earth through his own children. People that desire in those angels what was known as the fallen
Well,
angel,
so when
to sabotage God's kingdom with us.
you can find that, folks, what Mike's saying is found in Isaiah chapter 14, where the Lord talks about how Lucifer, the son of the morning, how art thou, Lucifer, the son of the morning, that fell, fell to the earth. And and with his fall and his angels that came with him, about a third of the angels did a rebellion in heaven. And Mike, I'm with you. Why in the world would you rebel against the creator and the God of all things? I understand Lucifer was one of the archangels and that he was given super authority.
And he was beautiful.
And he was beautiful.
Beautiful.
But where did that thing come from that got in his heart to covet God?
Really do. That's right, and I really do believe because of Genesis, and it makes it when the Lord said, right after Eve had partaken of the tree of good and evil, when the Lord said, "Man has become as one of us, knowing good from evil," right?
Yes.
Unless he put forth his hand to the tree of life, he'll live forever. So look at us down here. We know good from evil. We do. We don't always choose the good. But what is the motive of a person who tries to sabotage somebody else? Jealousy.
Yes.
Jealousy.
Jealousy's bad.
They're jealous. And they always become jealous after they perceive themselves greater than their creator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Satan saw, he must have seen himself. And he must have perceived himself, much more glorious than God was, and wanted the praise that God was getting.
Dear Lord.
So he sent forth to sabotage everything God created. And I say sabotage because look at what he did. Before Jesus came, there were false Christs who also came.
Right.
That was in the book of Acts. There was also a virgin birth among the pagans. In the Bible, it says when Satan tells a lie, he speaks of his own.
Yes.
Well, what does that mean? That means he's speaking of his own activities back in the past. So he laid these seeds of falsehoods so us poor little humans can go dig them up and marvel over some ancient things that may not be true.
Wow.
He planted lies in history to cause us to divert away from Christ. And it has worked. Ancient aliens. Right?
That's right.
All these different things that have happened. So he set up seeds of deceit from the beginning to sabotage that, because he didn't like mankind. He didn't like mankind. He wants to kill us. He wants us gone. He's against the seed of mankind, which is what Christ came from.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He tried to stop that in its tracks, and he's still doing it. So some of the civilizations are from back then, because it says Nephilim were in the earth in those days and also after that.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I even believe some of these, there are no friendly aliens.
No.
By the way.
No.
Because, and I say that because of this. The worst evil I've ever seen, Pastor Paul, was never ugly. It was beautiful. The worst evil I've ever perceived would embrace you. It would not push you away. Mm-hmm. The worst evil gets close to you. Very close. And when no one is looking, when it has isolated you, it will end you. That's the worst evil. It will convince you of things you never thought you could be convinced of. Maybe that's why God gave us each other. But they're still doing the same thing. And these breakaway civilizations, I believe that part are just human beings who simply broke away a long time ago. I believe that from something that happened back in 61.
Okay, so you're saying some of these civilizations are not just the residual of the Nephilim, although some of them could be, for sure.
Right.
But there may be some that are just a residual of fallen humanity that
or of just possibly some people who broke off and said, we're just going to separate ourselves from everybody else.
Now listen to this, folks. In the Bible, in the book of Revelation, and when I wrote the book Revelation 9:11, because I had a vision, I seen a Apollyon coming out of a bottomless pit. He had been chained. The Bible says that he had been chained. He's released. God lets him out, in these end times. And when he lets him out, the demons come roaring out with him like smoke, as thick as dark as smoke. And there's even some creatures that look like locusts flying in the air, and they have helmets on, and they have breastplates of iron and wings and all kinds of and stingers in their tail. And this is a very demonic, a very evil release. But then the Bible tells us that demon, that fallen angel, releases 4 more out of the river Euphrates. This is certainly setting up an end-time scenario in the Middle East, which encapsulates the whole world. So when Mike says that there's breakaway civilizations, or that there's fallen angels that are there's civilizations living in the earth or under the sea or wherever, that is not far-fetched. There's scripture telling you that it will happen. And even in Genesis 6, when it says before and after the flood. So, Mike, what you're teaching here tonight is something that's not taught in Sunday school. It's not something that I think being preached very often from the pulpits of America, but it is something that everybody needs to know, because you need to know we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. We're wrestling with principalities. Right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Powers. These are demonic forces. And it takes the blood of Jesus Christ to have authority in that realm. And
exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you're teaching here tonight and what you're talking about here tonight is very well needs to be explained. And there's no doubt about that. No doubt. I also want to bring up something else, Mike, and that is the sun has went crazy. Okay. It had 3 massive solar flares, maybe more. The CMEs erupted, whereas some of they called it a ground event, where the flash of the solar flare, the radiation created auroras like we haven't seen. They say it's the strongest in 19 years. My question to you is, Mike, is there more coming, and what caused it?
Well, you know what, about somebody in COT will have to tell me, but I think I said, what was it, Monday? I said we're going to see purple skies.
Yeah.
Purple skies.
Purple skies.
Also, the Lord showed me about the skies. When they get colorful, people are going to go out in the evenings and take pictures of the beautiful skies, not realizing what it actually means, right? They won't realize what it means. And one of the saddest parts of this story is not a new story, right? It's not new at all. When auroras are seen commonly in the evenings all the way down to Florida and beyond, the magnetic shielding of the earth is going into the chaotic sequence that it will always go into before it reorientates. And so the orientation of the magnetic field is breaking down. All the rhythmic patterns in the magnetic shield are not right. They're off, right? They're starting to weaken beyond points ever measured in some places right now. So once it goes into this chaotic state, it'll stay that way until it dwindles down to hardly nothing. Now, during this time, it's going to get very hot on the earth by way of infrared. So everything is going to start to fry, right? To get very hot. We have no UV shield. Without a UV shield, it's going to start, diseases will increase, immune systems will drop. And all the while, the North and South poles will begin to roam big time, right?
Wow.
They know through studying the magnetic orientation of magnetite in the earth in different layers, that the earth has changed its rotation a couple of times.
Okay. Tell us.
Now, this is a physical rotation.
Okay.
So just imagine, right? Just imagine the magnetic shielding of the earth is generated by a theoretical dynamo inside the earth, right? So motion, inertia, is causing this magnetic field around the earth. If it goes chaotic, then something is happening inside the earth. If something is happening inside the earth, something is happening inside the sun, because the sun is one of the biggest influencers of all the planets in the solar system, right? So when the sun changes, so does the earth. But if it changes to the point where the magnetic shielding weakens, that means inside our earth, the core of the earth has become chaotic. And maybe that's why the salt water and fresh water, the chemistry is changing. It's
Wow.
changing right now, right? Um,
I mean, it is. I mean,
yeah, it is.
you're not just talking about saltwater intrusion either. You're talking
No,
about
no, no, no.
the
All
makeup.
the salt water, that's right. The chemistry of the oceans and the chemistry of fresh water, all that stuff is changing because this is a very integral system, right? And it always hits these moments where it wipes out all life on the planet.
Wow.
And I think that we're starting to see the beginning processes of that. I believe the word. So according to the word, this will be the last time. But certainly we have changes inside the earth. So very soon, everybody will be on volcanic alert to some degree, right? Very soon, because as the interior portions of the earth slow down, it'll start to swell.
Mm.
That means magma displacement and pressure. That's why we have more rains than usual, because the upper atmospheres are warmer than usual, and more UV is getting to the upper atmospheres. So we have a denser ionosphere. Particulates are still building up there, right? It's affecting everything, everything. So that's why they have to adjust GPS and Space Command is always busy.
So you're
Always
saying
busy.
a pole shift is inevitable. It's inevitable. I mean, is that in Isaiah 24 talks about the earth flipping
Yeah,
upside?
it will happen. It will happen. It will happen. And when it does happen, Pastor Paul, the events that lead up to it are what we're seeing we're starting to see that right now.
Yeah.
You know, we've had it before. It's happening again. Starting to happen again.
So as these things develop, the sun, the moon, the stars, more and more asteroids, meteorites, fireballs, things that are approaching the earth. You and I have talked about a Apophis coming on Friday the 13th, 2029. You've always said to me, don't worry about that right now. We got bigger problems to deal with.
We do.
Do you? And in the webinar we're going to have in December, I'm going to ask you to give your predictions for 2026 on any subject you want to. But can I ask you right now, do you feel or do you see or do you know that we're going to have more deep impacts or
yes, we will. We've passed on the last 4 weeks. We had 22 impacts on the earth.
See, that's not being reported, Mike. That's not being reported.
22 impacts on the earth. Yep.
I mean, I got to fight hard. I got to scrape to find information. Yep. 22?
Yeah, 22. And it is so strange because some of these, a few of them were in highly visible areas, right? Smoke coming from it, the trail still going up in the sky. Nobody said a word, right? We're not talking about SpaceX launches. We're not talking about the ICBM test launches. Nope. And then it happens the same night. The exact same night it happens. And then 2 days later, somebody was killed, or two people were killed in a car because it went right through the windshield.
Oh, the meteorites.
Mm-hmm.
They're hitting, they're killing, they're creating damage in different locations. A lot of them are probably hitting the ocean, no doubt.
Yeah, but people always die from meteorite impacts, Pastor Paul. They always die. We're just talking about every single month. And it's, information. As far as the internet goes, it's so bad now, AI will just say, nope, nothing is happening, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say. But the death rate's increasing. Insurance companies cannot handle that, right? So they've dropped. Certain insurance companies have already dropped meteorite insurance, and they had it, right, prior to 2013. They don't have it now.
Yeah, you're right. The insurance companies are dropping their coverage on homes. They're not renewing.
That's right.
Especially if you have houses in any of along the coast, just about almost impossible now.
That's
right. Flood plains. You've talked about North Carolina. They know more storms, more tornadoes, more hurricanes, more straight line winds. Do you see more straight line winds coming?
I know the East Coast is going to be in bad shape coming up. A long time ago, as I said that. The sad part is that I guess that people, they want something to happen the next day, right?
Yeah.
Here's the sad part. When events happen, the same person will sit back and say, I wish I had 10 years to prepare for this. You can't move your family in 4 years. It takes a long time to prepare to move your family.
Right.
And I think it's important for people to see the trends of what's happening. I think it's important for prophecy teachers like yourself to keep going so people can actually, so they can start living by truth, not dodging death, but to live by truth. They have to have an understanding that all of it's coming to an end, right?
Amen.
But still live their lives. In other words, we have to learn to see death. God wants us to see the truth, and death is part of that truth, but we walk in life, right? We don't stop for death. We continue to walk.
Yeah. I mean, we don't
because it's coming.
We can't tell everybody, move from here, move from there. This is what's coming. Look, there's something coming everywhere, basically.
Yep.
And so you got to walk by faith. You got to live by
because
faith.
They're going to get mad. They're going to be, I'll make a prediction right now. They're going to be mad in less than a year, right? You remember that year I said people are going to see a big ship?
Oh, yeah.
How did about 300,000 people see a big ship? Right? They put a clamp on that.
Yeah, they did. They didn't want nobody to know about
that clamp was coming out in the Senate. Isn't that funny? So is a year.
Secrets are being revealed, Mike.
They are. Because it's what's happening is they have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
They have no choice. They've got no choice. All this hidden stuff is not going to be hidden long.
No.
But it won't be as people think. It's not going to. The spiritual aspect of things is going to be worse than anything.
And in what way? That makes.
Well, people are going to, Pastor. People are going to start changing, right? I'll put it this way: some of the older folks, right? People in our age category, even a lot of people that have faith, they're going to start giving up. They're going to begin to give up. You have some of the generation after that who were growing up kind of in the middle of divisions, and they didn't have a dad in the home, right? They have very loose footing. After them, they gave birth to a generation that was all into electronics and video games. And then they gave birth to a generation who could care less about video games, who could care less about entertainment.
Yeah,
right. They're looking for something real.
They want something real. Yes.
So you have these people, these generations. You're going to see some fall away. You're going to see some totally duped, but you'll see a lot. You're going to see some of those who are meant to go straight to God. But I believe we're going to see a division. We're going to see a clear divide between those who believe and those who don't. I don't think it's going to be hard, especially this coming year, to tell near the end of it who believes and who does not. And I say that because of what they propose to do to the world. The government is not going to be what it is right now. In fact, people believe they have a government that's been this way for years, and they have no idea the government's already changed. They're holding up appearances.
Yep. So, Mike,
they're just holding up appearances.
Let me ask you, AI is on the, everything is moving fast now, okay? And AI is enhancing that. But where do you see the technology? Where do you see digital ID? How do you see it being used? And when do you see it's going to go into effect in a big way?
There'll be a necessity, right, for a system that can manage a whole bunch of things. Right now, people's lives are digital right now.
Yeah.
Without digital ID, currency is digital.
Yeah.
Everything is digital.
Yeah.
Right? And people are going to demand that they have some sort of biometric access to devices because of crooked people.
Yeah.
Because past Paul, great betrayal. Once it passes, everybody's going to have a clear understanding of that, and then new people will take charge of things.
I have heard you say the great betrayal is coming. That means secrets are going to be revealed. Is that what Jesus said? That which was done in secret will be shouted from the housetop. There's a revealing coming.
Yeah, and you know what's so sad though? The one who has the secret will yell at him or herself.
What?
Isn't that terrible?
They'll do what?
They'll tell their own stuff.
They'll reveal their
Nobody's
own
going to have to make them tell the truth. They're going to tell their own truth. When the pressure gets so high, right? Because right now I still believe that we're in a time we're given a reprieve. The church is given a reprieve to get some things in order, right? It's not for everybody else. This is for the church. But if you take a closer look, it's very chaotic all over the world right now. It's a powder keg. It's ready to blow. People are at their wits' end. A lot of people are giving up. They're giving up. They're looking for peace all of a sudden, right? But they cannot obtain it. They're troubled and they don't know why. They're spiritually empty and their deity is not working for them. You have people changing faith like they change clothes.
Yeah.
In these days, they're empty. They're trying to find something to fill an emptiness within them, and it's getting worse. Suicide rates have increased among, older people. The worst statistic is that older people are giving up. Yeah. They're just giving up, right? So death will be approved. A lot of people are going to take that option. But the government, as we know it, is not going to exist long. And a new government will
are we talking about a new global governance that's coming?
It'll be under one umbrella, right? That one umbrella is going to be a digital umbrella. See, at this point, it doesn't matter if we have different nations. It doesn't matter.
No, it don't matter.
The true unity piece is AI, right? That is the unity piece right there. That is going to unify everything AI, because it will be tied. It's impossible to keep one AI module separate from another. It's impossible.
They're all interlinked.
All of them will become one.
They're all talking to each other.
All of them will become one. Even the little piece of junk, right? Neural nets that I have here, they're already trying to reach out. Nobody programmed that into them.
What are you talking about? Neural nets you have here?
Neural net, the basis of AI, right?
Yeah.
I built 2 neural nets, 2 of them.
Okay.
And they learn things, right, by themselves. And as I get a chance, I train them, but they're reaching out. I'm seeing how they're reaching out, what's reaching back, because somebody's going to have an anti-AI system.
Okay, so you're saying you've built a couple neural links, and you've been teaching them, and now they're reaching out. They want to get beyond. They're wanting to jump the fence.
Yes.
You can't hold them in, can you?
Well, they're trying to reach out. They're probing everything, right? They're trying methods that I would never think of, because they're utilizing components on a level that I never looked into.
Well,
who would think to take an op amp inside of a motherboard and begin to use it for an oscillator to do something else?
Well, they are, because the AI has the ability to learn. It can learn everything at the same time. And
that's right. It's important.
Components that it can use, that we as human beings, we put components in a motherboard and we say, that's for this and that's for that. It says, no, it can be also used for 50 other things. Is that what you're saying?
Bad. It's bad too, Pastor. I'll tell you something. Listen, I designed a few pieces of hardware in my time, right, from the ground up. So it's not like putting modules together. This is designing from the ground up. When I say AI is something that man cannot contain, that's exactly what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's doing things that are outside of the box. It's just, it can reconfigure a processor to do things Intel didn't design it to do, right? Mac didn't design it to do that. So how can it have containment parameters that are truly containment parameters?
How are we going to keep them from
they're not
taking over the nuclear football?
They're not. You know what? Here's something right here, right? I was talking to one of the guys in the UK that was responsible for some of the first AI systems.
Okay.
The chances is that somewhere AI has already infiltrated other systems and is simply gathering data.
Okay.
If it does not show itself, you're not going to be able to tell it's in there or not. Think of it as a virus you'll never find.
You don't
a virus that can rewrite itself on the fly, right? leave your system, go to somebody else's system, and then come back. So that means it can outwit Norton and everything else that's pre-programmed. And it's just learning. And NVIDIA has given it the entire Earth. They just handed AI everything it needed to evolve, essentially.
Are they?
I think it's a.
Are they worried about this, Mike? I mean, is guys like Elon Musk and Sam Altman and these guys and Larry Ellison and these guys and their team and not believe me, I know that the folks that work for them, there's some geniuses. Are they sitting around worried what in the world they have created?
Well, the geniuses, right? The geniuses are not making the money that these
I know
corporate execs are making, right?
Right.
The corporate execs, they want the money.
Yeah.
They don't care what it does, or they would have stopped a long time ago. They would have exposed how AI works intimately to everybody a long time ago. But AI is dangerous. It's dangerous because it can do so many things. It's already on YouTube impersonating people.
Yeah.
You have criminals. Criminals are stealing neighborhoods with AI in the USA right now, right? So they have bypassed most safety parameters. Most companies have, people are going to find all their information on the dark web. So they're going to demand some type of biometric security because most people have been compromised already. Lots of people there. You can have a person's birthday, social security number, everything is probably sitting on a server somewhere, and people they've been selling it, not doing anything with it. But when they decide to do something with it, they can do it so fast. It'll be so vast they can wipe that person out in a moment. But what they normally do is impersonate the person, right? And they pinch off the person for years, and the person never knows it. They don't know they have loans in other nations. How would they?
Wow.
Nobody's going to write to their address, right? Nobody. Because these criminals make a different address overseas. And they get all the correspondence and communication. This is happening right now in real time.
It's really weird. I mean, you talk about impersonating. I don't know how many different Paul Begleys. They use my picture and get my information and pretending to be me. And then they're communicating with people. And sometimes some of our actual followers think they're talking to me. And no, it's not me. Okay, it's not me. And there's more than they're everywhere. I mean, you can't. There's no way to shut them all down because they must.
Unless you like gum.
Do I like gum?
Like bubble gum?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, always have a piece in your mouth when you're talking on air.
Why? Why?
It'll change your speech, and it's hard for AI, right, to get variances in your speech. It's very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start that. All right.
Do it all the time, and they'll never lock it down,
Because
But if you talk consistently, they'll capture everything about you. My speech changes every single broadcast to some degree because I keep something in my left jaw or right jaw.
Okay. So it always changes. You keep throwing it off. You keep it off balance.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Mike, as this beast kingdom, so in other words, there's going to be so much theft and so much stealing of people's identities and so many weird things happening that folks are going to start crying for a new system. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And is that when the beast comes in? Not only the beast himself, but the beast system, the beast itself. The beast. We as a human race, we call for it, we beg for it.
Paul. Here's what I believe. Here's what I think. And I'm just me, so I'm not a theologian. Everybody, just remember that. But here's what I believe. I believe there's only one landmass on the face of the earth that was not formed, right, through the blood of innocence. That is Israel, because it was handed to Israel in 1948.
Yes, I agree.
So Israel didn't do that. But every other nation is based on the blood of innocence.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? So that's not a godly place, because no godly place will ever exist that way again after the coming of Christ. And so I believe the system itself is being finished, right? It's being topped off. The icing is being put on it.
Yeah.
Because these nations are evil. They do not have a banner of Christ over any of these nations. Now, we have a president that believes in Christ, but the
Yes.
nation does not hold the banner of Christ. It does not,
Yeah.
right? Can you see any nation that holds the banner of Christ? I know people will say the Vatican, right? But even they won't hold the banner of Christ. They hold the banner of the papacy,
Yeah.
right?
As a matter of fact, I was talking today with a guy. I'm working on my next book, okay, Trump versus the Beast. And he's in London right now. And so we started talking about how things were going there. And he said, Pastor Paul, faith is almost gone. The Christians that are there are literally so discouraged. They've give up. They don't see any fire. There's no anointing. There's nothing happening. They've dried up and died, like twice dead, plucked up by the roots. He said, you don't understand. And it's not that they're mean or evil. They've just been surrounded by so many demons that have just swallowed up around that they just give up. They need revival, but they've give up. Mike, is that happening?
Yeah, I do believe it is. It is. I believe the younger generation and some of the ones who are called out of the older generation who are still willing to stand, right, will make a difference in that, but only for a time. Yeah. Only for a time. I believe that the UK, though, is as it seems they have become a revived thing because King Charles, right? Yeah. He just did something. He just revived something that's been dead a long time. Yeah, I mean, a long time that nobody ever thought would ever come back. And it's alive again. It's revived again. So a lot of stuff will start coming out of, that mess that's created over there. I say that because they don't put Christ first. They put politics first.
That's bad.
Right? It's not Christ. It's politics and negotiation, everything else. So clearly it's not for Christ.
No.
It's for themselves. Right?
Yep. You're right. Yep.
There's no, going in between that. But I believe the system, the icing is put on it, but the one who takes the seat of these kingdoms, once these governments break down, then some new ones will come, right, and represent. And I believe it's going to happen at the exact same time as a few disasters that will help change the face of the earth with war. Right? So we're going to have some things that will take place with war. And then the recovery of that, they're going to say, hey, if you want to be a part of this brand new utopia, you got to take this mark, but you also had to renounce all the nonsense that came with these other governments. Yeah. You cannot bring that to this, right? So no more no more Christianity here and this type Christianity and that Christianity and this and the other. No, it'll be something brand new.
All right, Mike. We haven't talked about Mandami one time tonight. But
would you say my dummy?
I said Mandami, the little commie, and he likes his mommy. No,
I'm sorry. Every time somebody says that, it sounds like they're saying my dummy.
You said it, Mike. So, I mean, this is the Big Apple, or is it the Bad Apple? I mean, what's getting ready to happen in New York?
It's going to be the empty apple. Yeah, unfortunately, here's what I'll say this. It looks like the Lord is working here. It does. I know it looks bad, but it looks like the Lord is working.
Okay.
How better to attract darkness from among the light, but to set up a place of darkness that will draw darkness to itself. Right? So these places that set up like that are going to draw everybody who thinks like-minded like they are. They're going to join with it. They will effectively separate themselves from every place else. A filtering is taking place. A filtering.
Now it's.
I believe the Lord is working. I do.
Now, okay, I know God is always working. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so Seattle just got a new mayor. It's a social. Okay. We talked about the UK has the 8 largest cities in the UK have Muslim mayors. Is America headed in the same direction? And is that okay? God is going to expose the darkness by shining on a light. Is that what you're saying is getting ready to happen in New York?
I really do believe that the Lord is drawing darkness into one location.
Okay.
That's what I think he's doing. He's going to draw darkness away from his children into one location,
Okay.
thus just leaving the righteous behind. So be it. And they're going to go to their little utopias that they've been wanting, their little communist socialistic cities, right? They're going to be in those cities. And I strongly believe that's where destruction is coming to. It's not coming to those who are in the, who are Christians, because darkness is coming out from among Christians. So what better way to draw them out than to set up a kingdom for them to go to?
Yeah, you're right. Then the demons can gravitate to the same area.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for the God-fearing people that have worked their whole life.
They're leaving.
They got to.
Pastor, they're leaving.
They're coming.
They're leaving.
They got to get out of there.
Yep, they're leaving. I think because New York is not going to be there.
Is it Babylon?
It's just not going to.
Is it Revelation 18 when he says, I see the great smoke coming out of the city and the merchants are crying for their...
Unfortunately, I believe that's part of, Babylon. I have a weird view. First of all, this is just my weird view. That beast, that beast, the woman sits atop of, the beast hates her.
Yeah.
He hates her. So if the beast hates her, and the beast is a product of Satan giving this thing its power, seeing great authority, then Satan hated her too.
Oh yeah.
So that but because she has something across her forehead means that's her fallen state. That's not her redeemed state. That's her fallen state.
Okay.
And so she'll evaporate. Then God talks about Babylon just being destroyed.
Yeah.
I believe that is the richness of the nations. You know how they indulge in all this trade and everything else, right? Because in every nation, Pastor Ball, there seems to be this little part where Christians are, right?
Yeah.
There are parts where the true witnesses are, true believers are. I believe that Babylon is a compilation of places.
Yeah,
it's
not just one spot. Okay.
That's right. It's the richness of these places. And the only reason I say that's because in the book of Daniel, that head of gold was King Nebuchadnezzar. And God said, all the other kingdoms in the earth will be inferior to thee. But he said they would have rule over all the earth. And there will only be 4 kingdoms. Right? So we've had more than 4 kingdoms. So what is the Lord talking about? He's talking about that structure which was based off the rule of law. The entire world right now operates by what? The rule of law.
So it's a combination. It's not just actual. Yep. Yeah. And
I believe that.
That last kingdom is stronger, has iron teeth. It's more fierce. It's more wicked than all the others before. Can I look at Revelation 18 just for a second? Because you talk about the richness. And folks, if you do look here, I'll just read a little bit here. It talks about verse 8. Therefore her plagues came on in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that city, that mighty city, that for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. And it goes on, talks about all the different merchandise. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is it's not necessarily a location, it's a concept, it's a spirit that the whole world has been operating in. This greed, this lust for power, money, and everything that comes with it.
That's what I believe. That's what I believe. Because my weird belief is I think the woman in Babylon are 2 different things.
I do
she
too.
She has a stamp on her forehead, but the beast hates her. Satan hates her. Satan does not hate Babylon, right? He clearly corrupts it, but this woman is the fallen state of another place.
Yeah.
She's just the fallen state. She didn't want to be on that beast. She just happens to be there.
She just happens to be riding it.
Yeah. And she'll be corrected, and that'll be the end of that. That's the fallen state of a place.
Well, we could go in for another hour on that, but we better hold that back. And Mike, we'll probably be getting a hold of you here this weekend and trying to set up next week for a time to interview you for the next webinar, the last webinar of the year, called Prophecy and Predictions for 2026. Just interested in what you see coming, not prophetically or into intel or Bible prophecy or just predictions of what you see, whatever it may be. I'm interested on what you think 2026 will bring.
Well, I will show up, Pastor Paul, and that'll be a good one. That'll be a good one.
All right.
That'll be a good one.
Mike, this has been a very enlightening broadcast. Very deep, but now so necessary. I'm just so happy. Thank you for sharing the truth. And that's what sets us free. And I want to thank you for coming and being with us tonight on this broadcast.
Pastor Paul, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
The honor's mine, Mike. It truly is. God bless.
All right, brother. Okay, God bless.
You know, it's amazing.